Welcome and thank you for joining us. You are now part of the PTSA President's Club. Congratulations, and we are very excited to have you. I'm going to say this one more time. My name is Barbara Smith, and I am your 31st District PTSA President, and this is my second year of my term. Colleen and Kimberly are on board with me. They are previous 31st District Presidents, and they will be helping to present this meeting and answer any questions we may have as we go along. We are recording this meeting. I do want to emphasize that. If you don't want to be on camera during the meeting, that's fine. Let's see if I can, there we go. Handouts. This is, just in case you're wondering how long this is going to last, about 30 screenshots, give take. And I will be emailing it to you. So if you missed something or you didn't get to write something down, don't worry about it. Don't worry about writing anything down. Just let this information wash over you. For all of my first-time PTA presidents out there, this is why PTA, you are never alone. I'm standing up here on the shoulders of Kimberly and Colleen, and I'm so grateful for their experience and their guidance. We are here for you. So when you come up with an issue at your school and you are overwhelmed because Susie and Alice don't like to sit next to each other, or LAUSD has just asked you to sign contracts and give away the bank, we are here to support you and help navigate you through that opportunity. Little housekeeping. Again, all of your questions, throw those into the chat box and we will follow up with them. And that's it. Let's move on to the next screen. The power of PTA. PTA's mission is to positively impact the lives of all children and families. And I can't stress that enough. You don't have to be a PTA member, adult or child, for us to positively impact your school environment. We are here to positively impact the lives of all children and families. So that means the juvenile justice system. That's something that PTA helped to create. You have lunch on campus, and whether or not you like that grilled cheese sandwich, although I do, you have lunch on campus because of the penny kitchens that the PTA established 100 years ago. You have car seats in your cars because of PTA. So we positively impact the lives of all children. We are going to specifically talk about key roles for PTA president. That is the training we are doing here today. So if you were hoping you'd get reflections or fundraising, those are actually happening someplace else on another date. And just go back to the Facebook page and see when you're supposed to click into that meeting. It is the exact same Zoom link as this one. If you would like to cross-train, if you are the PTA president and you're doing a one-man band kind of thing, and you want to know more about fundraising, and your fundraising chair is already going, and you want to know what they've been told, you are more than welcome to show up to those meetings. These are free and these are here for you. If you can't attend one of our meetings, we are going to put these recordings online on our website and you can download and review them later. All right, PTA planning, getting started, and managing your PTA. Let's just skip to the next screen. Please note this, capta.org. This is your go-to place. If you can't get a hold of one of us on the phone or through text, the California PTA.org toolkit is your friend. And here's your job descriptions for all of the positions on your board. We're going to stay specifically with yours right now. Key roles of the PTA president are oversee and coordinate the work of an executive board to run a PTA effectively. That means you run your meetings. Get a gavel, they're fun, and they can nicely keep a meeting moving on. Again, Susie and Alice not working well together. I appreciate your concerns. We'll address those after the meeting. Let's move on and get back to planning the fall festival. You also preside at all of the board and association meetings. You are in charge. You are the face of your PTA. You serve as the official contact and communicator and representative of your PTA. You do not storm the castle. You do not take your entire association into the principal's office and say, we want backpacks. You yourself, a face of one, Go in and represent your association, which hopefully is just wildly huge. Hopefully you have hundreds and hundreds of members standing behind your quests and your requests. So you go talk to your principal, you work with your administration, you develop that intimate relationship where you plan out the year to support the goals and missions of your school. You are designated as an authorized signer for PTA checks, contracts, and authorizations for payment. You have a, Ira, correct me if I say this wrong, fiducial responsibility. Do I say it right? Fiducial? I got you muted. Yeah, you know what it is.
Fiduciary, but close.
Fiduciary, thank you.
Fiduciary.
This is why we have support. You have a fiduciary responsibility for all of the money that runs through your PTA. You are also an ex officio member of all committees except the nominating committee, which means while you don't necessarily run those committees, you are responsible for their actions and you need to be aware of what they're doing. So you should be attending their meetings, even if you don't have a voice in it because you allow that committee to run smoothly on its own. You are aware of what they are doing, and ultimately the buck stops with you. You are responsible for what they do. You work with other PTA leaders to connect families, school, and community to support success. You will run your own executive board meetings and association meetings, and every month you will go to council meetings. So that's 3 meetings every month you are responsible for, and I will talk more about them as we move along. All right. Wait a minute, I want to click. How do I get out of here? See if I can make that drop down just a little bit.
At the bottom?
There we go. You are non-commercial. Do you know what that means? That means if Joe's Tires donates $600 to your PTA, you do not say, Darby Elementary School thinks Joe's Tires is great, you should all go use that. But you can say, Darby PTA thanks Joe's Tires for their contribution. You see the difference? You don't advocate for, you don't represent Joe's Tires, but you can thank Joe's Tires for $600 that they donated to your school. Non-sectarian, that means you are inclusive, diverse, and a welcoming organization. And based on what is going on in our world today, that means that's more important than ever. We have always been open to everyone. So what does that mean actually? Do you have to have a child at the school to be a PTA member of your unit? The answer is no, you do not. Your community members can be members. So if Joe's Tires donated $600 to your PTA and he also wants to be a member of your PTA, you take those $10 and you say, thank you, Joe. We really appreciate you supporting our PTA by being a member of our PTA, even though he doesn't have children at your school. Can he then run to be a member of your board? He absolutely can, because he is a member of your PTA. I don't want to really go down this road just yet. If you're an employee of LAUSD, things get sticky and we'll talk about that later. But if you are an employee of LAUSD and you are a community member, your vote is the exact same, carries the exact same weight as Susan's, who's got 6 kids at that school. 1 membership, 1 vote. Non-sectarian, nonpartisan. We do not support or oppose political parties or candidates. So John Lee is running for Council District 12. I personally like him, but as the PTA president, I don't promote him. However, if he donates $600 to my Nobel Middle School, I say, we thank John Lee for his donation to Nobel Middle School, but we do not advocate for him. All right. PTA bylaws. This is your happy place. You are going to discover so much in your bylaws. You don't know the answer to a question. Somebody comes up to you and says, when are your meetings? How much is membership? How do we do elections? How many committees do we have? All of that information is in your bylaws. If you don't have bylaws, privately reach out to me or start chatting it up in the chat box right now, and I will get you a copy of your bylaws. Not only should you have a copy of your bylaws, not only should you review your own personal bylaws, you need to make sure everybody on your executive board does the same. I know it's a lot. I know it's not the most fascinating read. You can skip parts. But the things that you absolutely need to focus in on are what are your membership dues, because those are not negotiable. You can't go, ooh, it's membership time, and I know the bylaws say $10 a piece, but we need to raise some money, and this might be the only bite at the apple we get. Let's make it $20. You cannot do that. If your bylaws say your membership dues are $10, that is all you charge for your bylaws. Boards and elections, it tells you how to elect, how to set up a nominating committee, how many people need to be on the nominating committee, how many people, what committees that you need to fill spots for. Your association name, ID, and numbers, this is critically important. If you are writing a thank you note to Joe's Tires, to include your charitable trust number. You're also going to want your EIN, which you will use for your taxes. Again, you've got that responsibility to make sure that you pay your bills and you pay your taxes and you report to all of the government agencies. Congratulations, you are all presidents and CEOs of a 501c nonprofit corporation in the state of California, which comes along with it taxes, reporting to all of our appropriate agencies. Again, I will get to that a little bit more later on. All right, your bylaws are important. Find them, use them. All right. What every PTA president should know. You are going to communicate. Your main job as the PTA president is to act as the communicator for PTA, linking families, school, and community together. You're going to have a good day at school. You're going to have a bad day at school. They don't care. They don't care that Johnny fell and scraped his knee and you were on your way to the nurse's office. They want to ask you about spirit wear. Present a professional and pleasant face at all times, because they don't differentiate you as being Johnny's mom and their need to find out how they're going to get their child a yearbook. You will coordinate the work of the officers and chairmen and help them stay on task. That doesn't mean you do the work. That means you oversee it, you delegate it, and you trust your people to get it done. Are they going to do it the way you would have done it? Maybe, maybe not, but it gets done. Someday you won't be the president. Someday you won't be at this school. Before, there was a time where you weren't at this school, unless you're one of those parents who strung out your children and you're there for 17 years. Trust your people. It's going to happen. Things will get done. You will run your meetings. You will approve all materials. Do not let your membership chair go rogue and start sending out stuff in social media. If you haven't approved it and if you haven't run it by your administration, your principal, whoever you have to run things by on your school campus, it does not get publicly published. Let's continue on. Financial procedures, all right? I don't need to tell Ira this stuff. You are a facilitator. You will sign payment authorizations and contracts. You will not do that unless your association has already approved your ability to do that. At one of your association meetings, somebody is going to stand up and say, I move we pay Joe's Tires $50 for water bottles, or Smart and Vinyl, $50 for water bottle for our fall fundraiser. Once that motion is approved by your association, then you will sign that check. I move we have a fall fundraiser. Once that gets approved by your association, then you can sign the contract with the Carnival water slide hot glue gun people. You are going to assure reports get done and sent to council and district. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to go to your council meetings. We're 9 pages into our presentation, and what time is it? Well, I don't know what time it is anymore. And 20 minutes into our presentation. I've already lost some of you. Go to your council meetings. This is why PTA, you are not alone. At each one of these council meetings, month by month, they're going to walk you through each one of these steps. In August, they're going to kick you off with how to do your membership drive and give you all the support you need to do that membership drive. In September and October, they're going to start talking to you about taxes and your RRFs, and you're going to, the RFAs. Acronyms abound. Ira, I'm going to unmute you again. And wait a minute. Well, I can't unmute you unless you help me. What does the RRF stand for?
Good question.
Okay, doesn't matter. It's the
Reporting
state of
for
California requires it.
something.
Okay, the state of California requires it. The RFA is request for authorization or approval through LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District. We will walk you through how to do these things. Okay, so come to your meetings. Don't be that person we have to go hunt down. Collaborator, you are going to be the official contact of your PTA. You will meet with the principal regularly. You will attend the council and district meetings. Your council presidents will reach out to you over the summer and let you know when those meetings are going to be. All right, here's how the calendar works. You are unit presidents. Council meetings and district meetings trump your unit meetings. Your unit meetings, when they are held, are determined by your bylaws. And when you submitted your bylaws to us, we took into consideration when those meetings were so that you wouldn't have conflicts. When you set up events and activities on your campus, do not schedule them at the same time as your council and district meetings, okay? We will get you a full calendar, and this is really important. You need to come to the council and district meetings. First of all, you know you have your association meetings, which is how you make all of your decisions. When when the council presidents have their meetings, you are the association for that council. So you need to be there so they can write checks, so they can make motions, so they can do decisions. And just in case you're wondering, I am accountable to you. You are the unit presidents. You, your vice presidents, and your treasurers come to district meetings and you vote to approve or disapprove, as you see fit, any of the activities that I present to you. You are my association, so you need to come to these meetings. As the president, you get your board, you get what you get, but you get to appoint a parliamentarian. And I strongly recommend it being a friend that knows you, so that if the choo-choo train starts to come off the track during a meeting, you can look over at them and they can help get everything back on track. You will also submit an annual report, and this is a 501c nonprofit requirement. As a volunteer organization, you need to justify your nonprofit status by telling me how many volunteer hours your association produced. Again, don't worry about this. If you're going to your council meetings in April, May, they're going to help you figure out your volunteer hours. Should you be keeping track of them all year long? Yes, you should. Do you? You might not. It kind of depends on who your historian is and how well they track things. But we can give you a little math to help you figure out how many hours you need to submit. All right, I'm going to move that here. Is there anything up till now? Let's see, how fast and easy is it to make changes in your bylaws and how long does it take? Kind of depends. If you go online to California PTA electronic bylaws, you request a username and password. It comes to you in about 2 to 3 days. You sit down with a bylaw committee, which again, how to set up a bylaw committee happens at an association meeting and it's outlined in your bylaws. Once you do that, you go online to the PTA Easy electronic format. You answer 7 questions. You print it out double-sided. You send it to me. I send it up to, you send it to your council. Council sends it to district. District sends it to state. State approves it. State sends it back to district. About a month, 4 to 6 weeks. Let's see. Let's move on. What is a board meeting agenda? An important part of a president's job is overseeing the executive board so everyone works effectively together. Your agendas should be the same at almost every meeting. The exceptions of who is giving reports. For instance, in September, you're not going to have the 5th grade graduation committee meeting give a report because they haven't met and they don't need to make any decisions in September other than we've established a committee and we're going to start having our meetings. Your fall festival committee should give a report because their activity, their event is coming up pretty quick. You're going to have an attendance list. People will sign in at the beginning of the meeting. You should do the flag salute because you are on campus and that's what we do. Approval of the minutes. You should have minutes at every single meeting. I'm going to give you some red flags to be aware of. What's a red flag? Your secretary doesn't show up to the meetings. Your secretary shows up to the meetings but doesn't have the minutes. Your secretary doesn't show up to the meeting but she sends the minutes. We like that. You need to have a record of each of your meetings. If you don't have that, that's a red flag that your secretary is not doing their job, and it's a red flag to your association that maybe something funky is going on. Let's say that nicely. Then there's going to be reports. There should be a financial report at every single meeting. There should be a beginning balance and an ending balance, and in between, whatever checks got written, whatever money got sent out, that should all be in the financial report. The president should give an updated report, and as unit presidents, and I'm going to say this really nicely, you are Switzerland. You no longer have opinions. How do I say this? You're not in favor or not in favor of anything. You speak for the association. Whatever the association has decided, if they've decided they want green Dixie cups at the fall festival and you hate the color green, it doesn't matter. You're going to have green Dixie cups at the fall festival because that's what the association wants. Your principal should come to your meetings if she can, or he, and or a teacher rep. You need to have that connection with your administration so that you are meeting the goals and values of your school and you're meeting their expectations. Now, does that mean they have the green light to decide what the PTA does and dictate it? No, they do not. They can come to you and say, we want to send all of the teachers on a fully paid Hawaiian vacation. Well, that's lovely, but you have $500 in the pot. And if we go back to the mission of the PTA to positively impact the lives of all of our children, while that would positively impact the lives of our children because our teachers would be very happy, that money would probably better be spent buying new books for the library, getting new laptops, or in the world we live in now, face masks, shields, dividers. I don't know what our new world is going to hold for us, so just be aware, things are coming. Unfinished business, new business, there should never be any surprises on your agenda. If somebody wants to bring something up at a meeting, let's say Susie comes in and she wants to talk about new copiers. She should have already spoken to you as the president so you can include it on the agenda. You should not get blindsided and your meeting should not get hijacked. Now, if Susie just thinks about it at the meeting and brings it up, you can say, that's a great idea, Susie. We're going to table that discussion until our next meeting. And then you can sit down with Susie and anyone else who's interested during that month and come up with, expand on and get a better idea or a better handle on what she is looking for. All right. Your to-do list. You are going to run and manage your PTA. So you will pay bills, create committees, fill vacancies, and you will shockingly have more vacancies than you want. People leave at the end of when people find out that you actually want them to do stuff for you, sometimes they just leave. And that's sad, but it's true. So you will be filling vacancies. You might lose a secretary. You might lose your historian. People move, they find other things to do. So just keep your networking open. Don't make your executive board so small. I know you're only required to have a treasurer, a president, and a secretary in order to be compliant with the state of California for a 501c nonprofit. Make your board way bigger than that so that you have, for instance, I'm lucky enough to have Colleen and Kimberly and Ira on my board. If the first runner-up is unable to fulfill their position, we have a second runner-up who will step right up and be on top of things. You will participate in meetings and present reports to boards and associations. So when you go to your council meetings, you're going to present a report to your council president saying, this is what's going on at my school. We're doing a fall fundraiser. Our membership has been kicked off, and we've got 15 new people interested in being part of our board. You are going to protect your PTA's assets. You are going to review and understand financial reports. I struggle with this myself. Make sure you have a good treasurer. Make sure you are really, really good to your treasurer. And on that note, with my visuals here, just in case you guys aren't looking up, I give presents, and you should too. They can be as simple as an email or a text saying thank you. They can be as elaborate as you hire a 10-piece band to go serenade them out in their front yard. It's on your dime, so think about that. Thank the people who are working with you. It's really important. Be super good to your treasurer, because for those of you who have ever done treasurer or have done the treasurer training, you understand how important it is and how much work it is. All right. All money is to be counted by 2 people. One is a PTA officer or a chairman. That's not always feasible, but it's the best case scenario. You will use the cash verification forms. You will sign the cash verification form saying that you did count this money. And then you will take a picture of that cash verification form prior to handing it over to anybody, because you will never see that cash verification form again. It's going to your treasurer. But when you see that treasurer's report, and you know you counted $1,200 out at the popsicle sale, but the treasurer's report only says $800, and you go, hey, what happened to the $400? Because the picture you took of your signature, of your counting of the money, you see where I'm going with this? And we all look at each other, and we all know our boards and our PTA members are good people. And for the most part, they really, really are. But it happens every single year, and this, Kimberly can probably jump in on test to this. It happens where we've had to call the police, where there has been theft, where there have, sometimes it was an accident, and we don't call the police for accidents, but sometimes it truly was fraud and theft. And then we do actually get involved and file an insurance claim. Now, back to the whole, what do you have to do to file an insurance claim? You need to make sure that your funds are deposited immediately. You don't put them in the trunk of your car for 3 weeks and get back to it and forget what it was all about. Someone needs to get to the bank. You are going to sign all checks, and you are going to know what all checks are for. So you don't sign any blank checks going, you just fill it in later. No, do not do that. So you don't only sign checks that actually have an amount and a person to written on them. You will also be a check signer. So you will be going to the bank with the minutes from your meeting where you were elected. You will go with your treasurer and hopefully one other person, so you've got at least 3 check signers, and hopefully one of those people was a check signer last year. If they're not, try and get a check signer from last year to go to the bank with you to say, yeah, these people are legit. It makes things easier. Make an appointment at your bank. It saves time. Things go a lot smoother. Please bring an ID. I know that's a weird thing to have to say, but most banks usually require 2 forms of ID: Costco card, credit card, any kind of ID. They will take it. To be a PTA in good standing. And this one's wildly important. You have to have a membership drive. If you don't have a minimum of 15 members, you are not a PTA in good standing. We like to see you have a minimum of 30 members, because that makes your gene pool big enough to actually have a meeting, to actually make motions, to actually have an association that you can pull an executive board out of. Of course, we'd love to see your membership be 800 members. I'll take what I can get. You are going to have to pay insurance. And this is another reason why PTA. If you were a booster club, you would be buying private insurance, which is wildly more cost prohibitive. It can be like $800, $900 for the year. We're in the $232 range. Do not hold me to that number, but that's what we were the last 2 years. So we'll be within there plus minus 10 bucks. You are going to do an audit. This is the reason LAUSD loves us. This is the reason that we are a 501c nonprofit. We do audits 2 times a year, and these are not punishments. These are a check and balance that you're doing the right things. The audit list, in addition to, did you make motions to pay your bills? Did you have minutes at all of your meetings? This just makes sure that you're doing the right things. My strong recommendation to you is download the audit checklist and have it next to you at every single meeting. And you'll look at that little list and you'll go, oh yeah, we needed to have a motion to pay those bills. Oh yeah, we needed to have a motion to say we were going to do a fall festival. It's your little reminder tick sheet. And when you do your audit, and the first audit will cover July 1st to December 31st, so it'll happen in January. So you'll get it back from your audit committee in February. This isn't a punishment. You're not in trouble. The PTA police are not going to come in and go, oh my God, you didn't have minutes. What your audit's going to say is, you should have minutes. And it's like, oh yeah. When I was council president, I had already been doing this for years. I thought I was going to nail this audit. And it comes back going, you haven't had an executive board meeting. It's like, oh, but I just chatted with everybody. We all got along. We knew what we wanted to do. No, you actually need to have an executive board meeting. And when I started having them, it really made a difference because we had a cohesive message moving forward. So your audit is not a punishment. It's a check and a balance, and it keeps you on task. Also, our new insurance company requires that you have these audits. It requires that you open up your bank statement every single month. And that can be electronically, or if you get hard copy still, you open up the envelope and you look at it. And a non-check signer must review it every single month. Let me just say that one more time. Every single month, a non-signer must look at your bank statement. That's how you're going to catch your financial secretary just withdrew $200 in cash, and you're going to go, oh, no, we don't do that. We don't withdraw cash. And where did that cash go? I get you had some medical bills you needed to pay, but you can't use PTA money to do that. This is how you catch fraud right away. The only reason we have to come in at the council and district level to deal with financial problems is because units have not been staying on top of their financials. These are really important. You are also going to file tax returns. I am here to tell you, they're not that big a deal. You're making under $25,000 a year. It's literally a postcard where you give your name, address, phone number, and say, I earned less than $25,000 a year. The majority of you are going to fall into that category. The California one, and Ira, I'm going to let you jump in for 1.5 seconds to say it's a little more complex because the state of California is now requiring that we note non-cash donations.
Yes. So starting with the fiscal year that we're actually in already, you have to keep track of non-cash donations separately from monetary donations. Now, non-cash doesn't mean literally cash. It means money, basically. So you need to account for any non-monetary donations. So that would be when the local businesses give you gift cards to use as door prizes, or you get donated items for your silent auction baskets or anything like that. You need to keep track of that. A list basically of what you got and its fair market value so that you can include the total on your RRF1 form at the end of the year. Also, just one quick correction, it's $50,000 is the threshold for dividing between very, very easy taxes and not nearly as easy taxes. So if you're 50,000 or less, your taxes are a piece of cake, although a little bit harder for the upcoming year than they have been in the past. But if you're over 50,000, they're a little more complicated. But even in that situation, we can help you.
Thank you. And let me emphasize that one more time. We can help you. If something comes up, if you have a treasurer who has never written a check before, has never balanced a checkbook before, your council treasurer can help walk them through that. We're going to continue training throughout the year. You have to trust and empower your board to do their jobs, but they don't have to do it by themselves. Just as we're going to be there for you every single month at your council meetings, we can get your treasurers there training and do one-on-one work with them. Also checking the you have to do the taxes. Let me just say that one more time. You have to do taxes. They're due November 15th, although there's some funky stuff there with this year with the COVID virus. If November 16th happens and you didn't file your taxes, don't hide under the rock and pretend it didn't happen. Call us, talk to us. We'll help get you back up to date, because sometimes November 16th turns into March 23rd and you still haven't done your taxes. We will help get you back on track. If you are not in good standing with the state of California, LAUSD is not going to let you, they're not going to approve any of your events. So we need to keep you in good standing. And financial management, report any suspected mismanagement to the PTA district ASAP. Now, again, if you're doing all of these things, if you're checking your statements, if you've got your treasurer's reports at every month, at every meeting, this shouldn't happen. But if it does, let us know and we will come in and help you. You can do an internal audit. The council can help you do an audit. The district can help you do an audit. Again, these are all stages you go through. You don't jump straight to council doing your, or district doing your audit. We'll walk you through those steps. Financial red flags. Officer chairman stops taking calls, coming to meetings, no treasurer report for the meetings, only one signature on the check, checks issued but not approved. Again, if at every one of your association meetings and executive board meetings, you're getting those reports, and they do get to be a hassle. You're doing this every 2 weeks, and you've got a treasurer who looks at you going, you know what, I've got 5 kids. Are you kidding me? You want another report? Yeah, actually I do, and this is the job you signed up for. How can we help you? How can we get you a financial secretary? Can we support you in some other way? Can we find you another position on the board so that this can get done? Because this is not optional. All right, financial questions. I lost my chat box. Is there a review for the monthly bank statement audits to confirm the reviews? Is there a form? You just have to sign the bank statement. You just have to look at it and sign it. Must attend. Yes, you must attend the council meetings to be in good standing. We set these steps up to support you the entire way. Executive board meetings. All right. We are a private club. Your executive board meetings are open to the officers of your executive board, standing committee chairman, principal, teacher rep, and any others listed in the bylaws. The purpose is to review committee recommendations and assign duties and recommend actions to the associations, okay? And this is where most of your in-depth conversations are going to happen in the busy work. This way, that way when proposals for programs, events, and spending money are presented to the association, the board can clearly present ideas and recommendations. You want your committee to step aside for the fall festival and decide we want red napkins. No one at your association meeting cares. You don't want to have the great debate of the napkins happen at your association meeting. That happens in the committee meeting. They come, they give their report saying we're going to purchase 300 napkins for the fall festival and we would like to make a motion to spend up to $25 to do that. That's what happens at your association meeting. At your executive board meetings, you come up with recommendations. At your committee meetings, you put a plan into place. And at your association meetings, you get approval to do those things, okay? Your board meetings are private. You may invite people to come to your executive board meeting to present. They will present. You will thank them for their presentation. If you would like to grant them a courtesy seat to stay, you can. You do not have to. You can thank them very much for their time and let them know that they are free to go. That way you can discuss whatever they've just presented without having them sitting there with you. Your association meetings are open to members and guests. Does that mean if you're not a PTA member, you can't go to the association meeting? We want you to become a PTA meeting. How are you going to do it if you don't come to an association meeting? If you didn't sign up to be a PTA member during the PTA member drive, you can now come to the association meeting. So if you find out you've got a lot of people coming to your association meeting, and trust me, this is not a problem, that are not PTA members, that's a separate issue. If they're hijacking your meeting, that's a problem. They're not allowed to speak or make motions unless they are members. That is exclusive to our membership. They also may not vote. So if they are a guest, they may not speak, they may not vote, and they cannot make motions. However, they can join at that meeting, at which time they can speak, but they cannot vote or make motions for 30 days. And that's, you want to know where that is? It's in your bylaws. Committee meetings, association meetings, executive board members are required to be PTA members. And you should require everyone who is on a committee or attends your association meeting to be members. So that's how you can start your membership drive. Before the meeting, RFA facility use permit. You need to do a request for approval through LAUSD for any events you are going to do on this. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but we're not going to be on campus in the fall. Everything we do is going to be off campus, socially distanced, and digital. That being said, if we are using our school names to raise money, let's say at a restaurant night, or our fundraising chairs are going to work really hard to try and come up with other events and activities where we can raise money. Anytime you use the school's name, you're going to complete a request for approval through LAUSD. So you're doing a drive-through fundraiser at Chick-fil-A, you'll submit a request for approval. You're going to advertise that event, and it'll be in the minutes and on the agenda to advertise that these events are going to happen. Prior to any of that happening, you're going to sit down with your administrator and come up with a calendar of events. What are their goals? How can you help meet those goals? The principal says, I want to do at least 3 family fun nights, 3 restaurant nights, and I want to, well, normally I would say sell popcorn after school, but that's not going to happen this year. We're going to have to come up with some other things. We're going to have to get really creative. You will present that calendar to your association in August. They will approve the calendar. It will also get a budget, which you will also present to the association at your first meeting, and that will get approved. Approving the budget does not approve expenditures. Just because the budget said we plan to spend $200 on yearbooks doesn't mean you spend $200 on yearbooks unless you've gone back to your association saying, we called around to 3 different yearbook companies and we got our best deal. I make a motion that we spend up to $180 on yearbooks. That's within approved budget format. You get approval from your association and you move forward. Again, this is just your meeting called Pledge of Allegiance. You do the approval of minutes, financial reports, president report, officer report, new business, and announcements. I say that quickly, and I want you to do it quickly. Your meeting should not take more than an hour. You should not have the great napkin debate during your meeting. If it starts to happen, use your gavel saying, we appreciate your concern over the great napkin debate. We're going to take that conversation offline and have a committee meeting about it. And then that committee can come back and say, we've decided to use green napkins. All right, at the meeting, start on time and end on time. Please, please, please be respectful of your association's time. I promise you, more people will come to your meetings if they're not hearing arguments. And if you start on time and end on time, follow agreed on ground rules. Bathrooms are in the back. Keep your motions down to 2 minutes. Keep your reports down to 4 minutes. Stay on the agenda. Parliamentary procedure. This is the hardest thing of all. None of us grew up using Robert's Rules of Order. It's not natural to us to stand in front of the group and say, I move to spend up to $200. Can I have a second? Any discussion? Call the vote. All in favor say aye. Say nay. Any nays? Motion passes, motion fails. You need to create a safe space at your meetings for motions to fail and not have not have it be personal. Someone could say, I don't want to have a fall festival. I'm sick of the fall festival. I vote nay. That's okay. We respect the right of the minority to speak while implementing the majority's decision. And let me just say that one more time. We respect the right of the minority to be heard. Susan steps up and says, I don't want the fall festival. I don't think we should have the fall festival. She gets 2 minutes to talk. She goes, it is a volunteer time suck. We just don't want it anymore. And then Bill gets up and he goes, I love the fall festival. It's the best thing we do. Bring in $20,000 every year. Call the vote. All in favor say aye. Any nays? And you count it and then you move on. It either is approved and adopted as a motion and you have the fall festival, or it fails and you don't have the fall festival. It's not personal. Remember, you're Switzerland. You have no skin in the game. Whether you want the fall festival or not is moot. You're not voting. All right. Delegate, whoops, let's see, I gotta move this. Delegate and follow up on action items. Distribute minutes promptly. Make sure that your minutes are going out. It's important. Your people come to your meeting. They have a right to see those minutes. All right. Any questions on minutes? Okay. Our principal says if LAUSD back on campus, PTA might not be able to. That is true. Parent groups are probably not going to be back on campus, in the very least, just for the fall. It might be. Okay, here's what I know about what's going to happen next year. They're looking at a couple of different scenarios. It might be 50-50 where some kids are in class Monday, Tuesday until lunchtime. They have lunch at their desks in their classrooms. And then they go home for an afternoon of Zoom classes. And then the other half of the class with the same teacher will be there Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday will be professional development. That's one scenario. So as presidents, we cannot vote on motions. You really shouldn't. You should have quorum in your group. Because when you vote on motions, you're showing everybody your hand. And you don't want to do that. So if we are not back on campus, which is strongly likely we will not be on campus, we're going to have to learn to do everything off campus. We're going to have to hold our meetings by Zoom. We're going to have to electronically reach out to all of our members through Facebook. And let me just give you my quick 15-second social media platform. Your social media platforms are not bitch boards. And I mean that. They are not a place to slam so-and-so's teacher is mean to me. Teachers are allowed to be on the board, yes. LAUSD has a policy on teachers being on the board. It is not a PTA policy. Your principal has got to approve it. With your social media, you need to monitor it. And if someone posts you did the fall fundraiser and I didn't want to do the fall fundraiser, you delete that post. You delete that statement and you follow up with that individual. You don't ignore it. You follow it up, you try to resolve it. Susan, I understand that you're unhappy about the fall festival. It got voted down at the last association meeting. I'm sorry you didn't get to attend it. What do you think we could do in its place? Try to throw out that olive branch. Try to make it work with your unhappy people. Some people are destined to be unhappy. The only thing that go on your social media boards are facts and positive things about your school. No pictures of students unless you have parent permission to post pictures of your students. All right, I'm going to get back on track with my presentation here. Board orientation, 5 steps to getting started. All right, follow these steps. Provides an opportunity to get more people actively engaged in PTA at the beginning of the school year. If any of your elections only had just enough people to make quorum and there were crickets in the room when the slate was announced and they said, would anyone else like to run for this position? Your gene pool is not deep enough. You need to get out there and meet those kindergarten parents, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard, but I promise you, your kindergarten parents are hungry. And by kindergarten, I also mean 6th grade in middle school and freshmen in high school. They're hungry to be involved on their students' campus, and you are a way for them to do that. It's going to be social media and digital. You have somebody who walks into a meeting and says, I want to be part of the group. Well, you're not going to make them PTA president, but you are going to put them on a committee, and you're going to see if they actually show up, if they actually say what they're going to do. Getting people involved early gives them ownership and generates buzz about the PTA. Do not become that PTA. Don't be a clique. Do not close yourself off to the doors. Make sure that your doors are open and that you, back to that diversity thing, it's important. No one gets turned down. And it doesn't matter what their skill sets are. There's a job for them. If it's picking up the trash at the fall festival, if it's setting up the easy ups, and ladies, we've got some gentlemen out there. And by the way, thank you. Men like specific jobs. Don't say, show up, we'll find you something to do, because they're not going to show up. You want men to get involved in your PTA? You want those daddies out there? You say, Fred, I need you here at 2 o'clock to set up the chairs for the spring dance. And Fred's going to be there at 2 o'clock. You better have those chairs out there for him, because if you don't, he's not coming back a second time. But get your dads involved. They are 50% of every kid on that campus. And they really do. They want to be a part of their kids' rule. I mean, look, we've got some amazing men out there right now. All right. Next, board orientation, ground rules and goals. Have your first meeting now. You have your board. You're not going to do any business. Old board is still running the show, okay? Your term does not start until July 1st, but you can still have some planning meetings and set some ground rules. We're going to have food at the meetings. We're not going to have food at the meetings. We're going to talk about academics. We're not going to talk about academics. Go through your bylaws. Go through your insurance guide. There is a red, yellow, and green of what you can and cannot do. Paintball guns, you can't do. Nobody's going to do that. But there are some balloon things you can do with the jumpy houses, but not all of them. So read the insurance guide. It will tell you what you can and cannot do. Procedure books. Okay. If you are new to PTA, find who your find the guy who came before you, and whatever binder they have, whatever, don't reinvent the wheel. Trust me, it's not worth it. You've got way more things to do. Do not reinvent the wheel. Get their procedure book. What flyers did you use last year? What was your timeline? When did you start having meetings for the 5th grade graduation, for grad night? And get that. If you don't get that from your predecessor, create one. Just because they didn't do it for you doesn't mean you shouldn't do it for the next guy. And bring those binders to all of your meetings. Keep your notes with you. Keep them together. It can be electronic. It can be paper. Whatever you are happy with, whatever works for you. Goals and programs. The what? You're a 501c nonprofit. You are not a fundraising entity. You are here to service the goals and missions of your campus. If they need to have an internet safety program, if they need to have library books, and that's been identified as a goal or a mission of your school, you'll have a fundraiser in order to support that goal, but you're not having a fundraiser to support, you're not there to make up budget deficits. And I really, really mean that. Especially as we walk into our next year. You also want to know why PTA. Again, when you're selling membership, you want to know why PTA, because I promise you, Celia, our state California PTA president, has already started writing up how she feels and how the state of California PTA feels about the budget cuts that are happening. You need to talk to your local congressperson. You need to send out an email. You need to advocate for the positive impact of all of your students, that budget cuts don't benefit anybody. So service programs, it's supposed to be 3 to 1. So you do 3 service projects. Now, what's a service project? Newsletter, association meetings, family fun nights at the restaurant. That can be a service project because it's a community event that gives your kids that sense of belonging outside of the classroom. Did you raise a little money too? Yeah, that's the side note. You are not there to make up budget deficits. You are there to support programs. And that program depends on what your school needs. Preliminary, the how to come up with your budget. You're going to do that over this summer. You're going to sit down with your executive board and you're going to look at last year's budget. Now, because we live in this new world, last year's budget may not be applicable to this year. Because I promise you, if the parent groups aren't on campus, you're not going to have the fall festival on campus this year either, because you're not going to have crowds of 100 or 250 on campus at any one given time without social distancing. So you're going to have to come up with another fun way to raise that money. So instead of doing a magazine candy drive on school, you'll do a magazine candy drive online. You're going to have to get creative. And this is also why you go to your council meetings, because Nobel is already thinking about this. And you are Nevada Elementary, and last year you only had 2 fundraisers and they were both candy drives. So you go to your council meeting and it's like, how did you raise $30,000? Well, we sent out a direct request letter asking for money, and we held our fundraisers online. We did a silent auction online. You're going to have to get creative. And at your council meetings, you could kind of trade ideas on how you accomplish that. LAUSD didn't approve your school's fundraiser for the jogathon, but they approved your school's fundraiser for a jogathon. Oh, you called it a color walk. Well, that's good to know. That will help you get things through. We are stronger because we are PTA. Membership goals. Set a goal. If last year you had 21 ideas, 21 members, this year you want 30. It's a year-long campaign. You ask for membership every single time you send out a newsletter. If you're not already on Totem, I'm getting you on Totem this year because we're not on campus. You're not going to be able to hand out flyers and membership envelopes. You're not going to be able to collect them. You're going to need to be on Totem in order to have a successful membership drive. Now, for those of you who are already on it, I will make sure that your new executive boards have access to it so that you can monitor it. You can send out emails through Totem saying, join. Now, let's address the camel in the room. Totem charges an extra $1. So your membership fees are $10. Your member is going to pay $11. It's a convenience fee. It pays for the service fee that credit card companies charge you for using a credit card. So if you want to use Venmo or PayPal to do your membership, you certainly can, but they're going to charge you a fee too. And you either eat that fee or you pass it on to your member. Totem just passes it on to your member. So that's just cut and dried. You still get your cut from the $10. And when you do Totem, you have an electronic membership list that you didn't have to type up in Excel that you can access anytime, anywhere from your phone. You will have all of your per capita, which is the $6.25 you send off to your council every year that pays for the council, district, state, and national portion of your membership fees. That all gets built into Totem, okay? And every July, first couple of weeks of July, Totem is going to send an email out to everybody that was a member on it last year saying, wouldn't you like to join again? And you know what? I was the PTA president at Dearborn Elementary Street School 100 years ago, approximately. I would join again. I loved Dearborn. They gave my kids a great education. I would be a member of their PTA if someone asked me to. I'm not going to swing by the school and pick up an envelope. I'm not going to hunt down a membership president. And to be honest, everyone on this list, if you ask me to join your PTA, I will join your PTA. I will do it July 1st. You should reach out to past members, your community members. That will get your membership up. It's an easy thing to do. So set your membership goals. It is a year-long campaign. Put the QR code that you can download off of the Totem site into every flyer you send out. posted and reposted on your social media on a regular basis. We are creatures of habit. We will pick up our phones and go, what is that? Click, and you will join. You'll get members, and you didn't even have to do other work. Funds needed for activities. Again, when you get money, you're doing it to support the activities you've determined in conjunction with your administration. The PTA does not go rogue. You don't get to decide you're having a spring fling dance on campus if your principal and administration didn't approve it. You don't get to go rogue and use the school's name without permission. 3-to-1 rule, student involvement, all of these things are important. Even at the elementary school, you can get the kids involved. We do that on a regular basis for the Pledge of Allegiance. Any student that shows up to your meeting, let them do the Pledge of Allegiance. If it's one kid or 12, have them all come down, and they get to tell every adult to stand up and put their right hand over their heart, ready, begin. It's public speaking and leadership skills for them, and you now have a future PTA member. Let me just run that here. First association meeting, you're going to approve the programs you want to host for that year, your budget, your membership plan, and your fundraising plan. All right, where's my questions? All right. And it looks like Colleen and Kimberly have been handling questions, so I'm going to move on because I want to keep you on time here. How am I doing on time? I'm doing good. How to work smarter. Ground rules. Goal setting, communication, conflict management, team building. We've already talked about ground rules when you're having your association meetings. If you have a motion, somebody stands up and says, I am the committee chair for the fall fundraiser. I want to have a motion to have the fall fundraiser. Someone else stands up and says, I don't want to have the fall fundraiser. Each person gets 2 minutes to speak. You can call multiple people, but don't, if they all are for the fall fundraiser, don't have them shout down and shame the one person who said, I don't want to do it. It's a 1-for-1. If you have somebody for a motion and somebody against a motion, if the next 6 people who raise their hand and say, I want to talk, I want to talk, I want to talk, are all for it, fine. They don't need to take up the next 12 minutes of your meeting saying, this is a good thing, you suck as a human being because you said no. 1-to-1. For and against. They each get a turn. And they each only get 2 minutes. They don't get to hijack your meeting. Conflict management. This is part of your ground rules. Everybody needs to come in and behave like grown-ups. And I know that this is a weird thing to have to say, but you don't get to walk in and call Susie a boogerhead because she was mean to you and she didn't say hello to you in the lunch line. First of all, I don't care. You don't care. Susie can just deal with it. We're adults. Sometimes you're going to walk on campus and have 100 things on your mind, like your son Steve fell down and he's in the nurse's office because he has a skinned knee. So you walked right by the Fall Festival Committee and they're pissy about it. We're grown-ups here. If you need to have a private conversation with them later, then do so. Say, you know what, I'm really sorry, Stevie was hurt. I was going to the nurse's office. I didn't mean to blow you off. Let that be it. If that doesn't work, and if things blow up, bring it up at your council meeting. It's going to be part of your president's report. And I know I haven't talked about this yet. You're going to get this at your first council meeting where your council president is going to go, here's your president's report. I need you to fill this out every month. And this is your brag sheet. You're going to say, we did our membership drive. We're doing these 3 events. And it's also where you're going to raise some red flags. My treasurer didn't submit a report last month. You're letting your council president know something's happening. I have an issue with Susie and Clara. They're not getting along. Then your council president can come by invitation to your next association meeting or your next executive board meeting, wherever the problem is happening, and they can offer support to you. But if they don't know an issue is happening, they're not going to show up. We are not mind readers. There's no ESP going on, none of that. You need to tell them, and don't tell them 6 months into the problem, because the first time you bring a problem to me is the first time I'm hearing about it, and I'm going to go through all of the steps I have to go through in order to deal with it, which will first be to come to your next association meeting, which might be 4 weeks later. Well, by this time, the house is on fire. Instead of, Jimmy discovered matches and he's playing with them. Don't wait until the house is on fire. If you see an issue brewing, share that with your council president, who will share it then with your district president. And that's really how the chain of command goes. Let's see, how to work smarter. Be specific. The Fall Festival is going to happen on April 27th. Okay, well, maybe that's a spring fling. It's going to raise $100. Is that obtainable? Well, last year it raised $100, so we think it'll raise $100 again. Is it relevant? Yeah, we need that $100 to support, because that motion, we're going to have a spring fling in April to raise $100, and we're going to use that $100 to support the library fund. Because every time you raise money, you're going to raise it for something, and that's going to be in the motion. And time-based. Don't let things drag on. You know what? Life is short. Have a beginning and an ending date. Remember, you can't encumber the next board, so don't start raising $100,000 for new band uniforms and it's going to take you 5 years to obtain that goal. It's not realistic. Communication matters. Regular, meaningful, two-way, keeping everyone in the loop. Tell your executive board what's going on. Sometimes you're just telling them so that they're aware. Not because you're asking them to do anything about it, but because you heard through the scuttle and you need to remind your executive board that what is said and discussed at your executive board meetings stays at your executive board meetings. Again, we respect the right of the minority to be heard, and then you act upon the majority. So your executive board meeting happens and you're discussing what you're going to present at the next association meeting. You go to your association meeting and it's like, well, half the board didn't want to do this. No. Don't throw them under the bus. You won't have an executive board if you throw them under the bus. As the president, you present, whether you agreed with it or not, whatever the executive board has asked you to present. And then if the association moves to agree to it, then that's also what you present. But you don't throw Susie under the bus going, yeah, she whined and cried about it for hours. What happens at the executive board meetings stays at the executive board meetings. And the same with the association meetings. I'll cover this in more depth with your secretaries. Your meeting minutes are not a court transcript. Okay? They shouldn't be 17 pages long. They shouldn't have he said, she said conversations. They're going to have your attendance list, which is stapled to the back. And then they're going to have a copy of your agenda. And then they're going to have the motions and the decisions. They're not going to say, Susie voted yes, Alice voted no. They're going to say, motion adopted, motion failed. That's it. These are not gossip rags. These are not ways to pull out of context issues that other people have. You're going to recognize people when they speak. You'll referee any issues and you'll resolve them. It may or may not happen at your meetings. It might happen afterwards. And right back to the whole thank you thing, don't forget something as simple as a token of appreciation makes a huge difference. You'd be surprised. Your kids are out there right now in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade working their heck off for stickers. Adults will too. You give them an attaboy at a meeting, they're going to come to your next meeting. And then next year, they're gonna chair a committee. You want to empower and mentor for today and tomorrow. You need to make your gene pool deeper. PTA is losing members left and right because they don't see how we're relevant. You need to trust that if you give Susan the parliamentarian job, that she's going to review the bylaws, she's going to have her bylaw committee meetings. You'll follow up with her. Let's remember, trust but verify. But you're going to empower her to do that. You're going to mentor her because you've already reviewed the bylaws. Recognize and appreciate different work styles. Just because I do things a certain way doesn't mean the Barbara Smith way is the only way to do it. There are many ways to accomplish our tasks, and we need to celebrate all of them. Delegate early and often. Don't be the one-man band. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to your association or your school, because you will graduate or you will get burned out. Either one is bad if you've been doing it all by yourself. Thank and give a shout out to the volunteers, even if they didn't do anything. All right, let's say you ran the entire fall festival yourself. Thank the fall festival committee. Because maybe you'll kind of backwards shame them for next time, and they'll step it up and really pull it together for your spring fling. Be the brand and enjoy it. Have fun with the PTA. You are not the team all by yourself. You are the face of the team. Let your people do their work. All right. We've got some more questions. I'm not seeing anything right now. All right. Wow. Thank you for, oh, I finished. All right, let's open the grid up. I'm going to stop screen sharing with my stop share and just go to full thing. Is anybody out there? I flew through a lot of this stuff fast. You're going to remember about 5% of it. I will send you my presentation.
I have a quick question.
Yep. Go ahead.
You said RFA forms need to be done for dine out night. Did I hear that right?
Anytime you use the LAUSD name, you need to fill out an RFA.
Okay, thank you.
Now, because you asked that question, I'll assume you didn't do it before. Water under the bridge. Now we do it moving forward. Same thing with the audit. When you discover that kind of stuff, it's like, well, I didn't know. Okay. And here's your punishment. You didn't know. So now you move forward and you do it. And we give grace. We give forgiveness here at PTA because none of us are perfect. We don't know it all. It's why we go to the council meetings so that we can support each other and share that kind of information. All right, we got some new stuff here. Am I sending new bylaws for the unit or you use last year's? Unless your bylaws need to be reviewed, your bylaws are your bylaws. They're pretty much boilerplate. You don't get new bylaws every single year. The things that change when you review your bylaws can be your dues, the makeup of your committees and executive board members, your meeting dates, that kind of thing. So whatever you had in your bylaws last year will be what you'll have in your bylaws this year, unless you put together a committee and determine you want to change some of those things. Any other?
Putting together the committee for that.
At your next association meeting, you will have your parliamentarians stand up and say, I need to put together a bylaws committee, and you'll take volunteers from the floor. If you don't have that, you can take volunteers from your executive board. I would recommend at least 3 people review the bylaws so that it represents your association's needs. Can we offer member discounts at events as a way to boost membership? Sure. What kind of, oh, all right, Colleen's jumping in there. Yeah, that's what kind of events? I don't know what kind of events we're going to be having this. Yeah. You can give perks for being PTA members. I know at some schools, if you're a PTA member in middle school, high school, for the dance, you get $1 off, that kind of thing. If you have a fall fundraiser or fall festival and you sell tickets, PTA members can buy 20 tickets for $10 and non-PTA members can buy 15 tickets for $10, that kind of thing. Spiritware may need to go online, so some of you may be exploring the benefits of Venmo and PayPal. Please, please, please make sure that your treasurers are going to their training so that they know how to adequately record that, because you want to make sure that all of those monies are accounted for. I am looking around for any other questions. You guys are amazing. First of all, I just really want to thank you for stepping up to be PTA presidents. It's a huge opportunity. It's a huge job, and it can be a lot of fun. Surround yourself with the right people. Ask for help. Ask for help at your school. Ask for help from your council. Ask for help up at the district level. Yes, Lauren, you have a quick question.
Sorry, I just wanted to unmute because I think it's going to be a little easier that way. I wanted to ask, I know that we had to sign an agreement right before everything happened with LAUSD that we wouldn't be, for those who don't know, I guess, we wouldn't be using the school property, we wouldn't be doing any events. Do we expect when we go back in the fall that we'll be able to do certain things, or if we move Spiritware online, are we allowed to be doing that?
And this is, again, why PTA. This is what your district is doing for you. I am doing weekly meetings with LAUSD. Those just started this last week, where we are planning out the future of parent groups on campus and how that's going to work. Any of you involved in LLC, SSC, the school campus committees, those will all be online. Those will all be off campus. And with regards to starting up fundraisers, we're still working everything out there. Our fundraising training is happening tomorrow, and we are presenting that training as if fundraising will proceed normally. So we will be starting July 1st to submit those RFAs to LAUSD, and I'm working with LAUSD to have, they've already put together, here you guys get the inside scoop, an online training so that your new person who fills that out, and I strongly recommend you delegate one person to fill out the request for authorizations, just because once you've done it, you know what pattern to do. You know what boxes to check. It's not rocket science, but if you check the wrong boxes and they come back to you and say, oh, this is a service event, it's going to cost you $800. It's like, no. I meant to do a fundraiser where we're going to sell a case of water so that we can do open house on campus. You get to know those little ins and outs by doing the request for authorizations through LASD and submitting them to our local support staff. I will have, I guess the bottom line is, I will have more information on that for you, and as soon as I get it, you will get it.
Thank you.
That was a long way to say that, I'm sorry. I see, I can't see a lot of you because you've chosen to go off camera, so if you're nodding at me or trying to get my attention, I can't see you. But barring any additional questions, I am going to go over to the chat and give you my contact information for those of you that don't have it. And let's see, where am I? Here I am. It's a long one. I do apologize for that. You will get a copy of the presentation in email, and it will come from either b.smith.president.31stdist@gmail, or it'll just come from barbara.smith@SBC Global. I do apologize for the confusion there, but I'm having some funky trouble with my email, and at this point, I don't care what the funk is. I just need to communicate with everyone. When you turn in your new officer list to the council presidents, oh yeah. With regards to those officer lists, if you haven't turned them in, I'm begging you, please turn them in. And if you haven't turned them in, or if you already have, but you wrote them out, if you could send them to us using the PDF form, being able to contact you is critical. On the off chance I can't reach you through school channels, like a virus comes up and we get thrown off campus, I need to have your physical mailing addresses so the state of California can send you information over the summer, and I need to be able to reach you. For instance, I don't know if any of you are in contact with your current PTA presidents, but I just sent all of them a lovely little note saying thank you for this year and a token of appreciation. We need to have your contact information. I need a cell phone number so I can text you. Some of you live and love texts. Some of you live and love emails. I don't care how I talk to you. I just need to be able to talk to you when something comes up. So let's make sure that those officer lists get in and that I can read them.
Barbara?
Yes.
I wrote that response to Labina's question. When is the first council meeting, and will we automatically be notified by email, or do we need to sign up for council emails?
You will automatically be notified by email from your council president, and they actually have access to all of your contact information too through PTA EZ.
If
Now,
we have your list.
if we have your list. If we don't, you're not coming. That's pretty much it. If I don't know you exist, you don't come. So I can only talk to the people who've told me that I can talk to them. If you don't give me your contact information, and I need mailing address, which means don't give me the school mailing address, because, for instance, right now, you don't have access to your schools. Please continue to use the school address for your PTA mailings, because we want your principals to know what's going on with your school. But for PTA communications, I want your physical mailing address. I need a full email that you actually check periodically, as well as a cell phone, or, well, if you don't have a cell phone, you don't have to have a cell phone. But I need some way to contact you. And I will try every venue. So if I'm sending something out that's critical, I'm going to do it on social media, I'm going to do it through email, and I'm going to do it through text. So if you get something 3 times, it's not because I'm punishing you because you never pay attention to me. It's because I'm sending out to 110 people. I'm carpet bombing the world. Council president sent an email last week. Current board should have received it. Okay. I will follow up with our council presidents. Sometimes they struggle with PTA-EZ. If any of you would like to learn how to use PTA-EZ so that you can upload your own officer lists, I would love to walk you through that. That is a separate training. And you can also use PTA-EZ to upload your tax information. And, you know, in the back of your head, you're going, you know, that sounds like a treasurer problem to me. Well, it's a treasurer problem for you until the IRS says you didn't submit your taxes from 2013. And you're like going, oh, my kid wasn't even a kid at this school. I didn't even have this kid in 2013. And you have to find those taxes. If they're uploaded into PTA-EZ, it's not a problem. You hit click, PDF, send to the IRS, and you're good to go. If you don't, you have to recreate it based on the minutes, rules, and all the documentation that somebody kept that is in a box in somebody's trunk of a car somewhere. And that makes life a lot harder for you. Again, nothing's a problem until it's a problem. Make sure you get those binders from the previous board members. Anything else I can answer for you? Personal issues? Nothing? All right. I am going to let you go. I really appreciate all of your times. Congratulations on being PTA presidents. It's an exciting and fun time. You really are going to enjoy it. There is nothing cooler than holding that gavel. Get one if you don't have one. Put your school's name on it. You know, your PTA, that's a legitimate PTA expense. Come to the meetings. Council meetings are important. And Leslie, if you want to hang out for a little bit after everybody checks out, I will answer your question. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.